Hey everyone, it's Don with Don's Field of Dreams Cards. Every time I make a video aside, it's typically for something that's on my mind or kind of serious. And today's one of those days. This video is to make a tribute to one of my favorite players growing up, which I'm going to show the cards here. But as many of you know, Scott and I, Reindeer Studios, made a trip uh, down to Missouri, Glasgow, Missouri, to visit our good friend Chris from Missouri. And we literally left on a Saturday and came back on Monday, and it's a 13 to 14 hour drive. So did it make any sense? No, not at all. But I'm glad I did it. Uh, you know, tomorrow's not promised to any of us, and take advantage of doing things while you can. So I knew Chris's father-in-law was pretty sick, and I saw that his wife posted on Facebook that he passed away on the 27th, which ironically is the same day that my father passed away 5 years ago. So I called Chris this morning to offer my condolences and to his wife, who, we got to meet and hang out with in Missouri. And, she's as kind as he is. She made us dinner both days and welcomed us to her home. And she was in on the surprise with Scott, or I'm sorry, the surprise with Chris. And so when I was talking to Chris this morning, offering my condolences, he said, it gets that's not the only thing going on. So on Monday, I guess, Glasgow, Missouri got a tornado that ripped through the town. And the bank where his wife works, roof got ripped off. And the photo that I have in the whatever you call it, the clip in the beginning, the thumbnail, is Chris's. It's an apartment building that he owns that his daughter lives in. And fortunately, his daughter wasn't there at the time of the tornado. And I guess the town's pretty torn up. Fortunately, Chris's house where he lives is okay, and his whole family's okay. But while his wife was looking at the damages, she found out her dad passed away. So recently I made a video about having some car problems and missing Strongsville, but that's just stuff. And part of the reason that I wanted to go down to see this Glasgow, Missouri area is just I heard Chris talk about it. It sounded like Mayberry to me, and it's mostly the downtown part is one street, a couple restaurants. I think there's two banks, maybe one bar, maybe two. I'm not sure. A couple stores, but it's when they say a one street town or one light town, that's all it is. It's right on the river. It's a very cool place, and but to hear that, just we were just there a month ago that a tornado ripped through there. It was like, yeah, I felt so bad for Chris and his family, and on top of her father. But I'm a believer in Jesus, and if you can, or if you do, pray for Chris and his family. They're okay. They don't need anything, but pray for him. That guy does so much for us in the community that I think that's the least we can do is keep our good friend Chris in our prayers, and his wife as she's dealing with this difficult time. And like he always talks about, the community being friends. That's what we're here for. So prayers to you, Chris, and your family, and Shannon. And so let's get in the next topic. So when I was a kid, loved the Pirates, still do. And Willie Stargell and Dave Parker were obviously the big guns when I was a kid. And I love both of them, but I had another player I really like, and not a guy that you would think of like, wow, you're a fan of this guy. It might be like in Dwayne Kuiper of the Indians, or Jeff Burroughs of the Rangers, and I'm going back to guys in the '70s. Good players, but nothing special. And my guy was Phil Garner, and he just passed away last week. And got my little statue of Phil here, and Phil actually lived in my hometown. He rented this little house about 2 streets away from me. I never saw him there, but when he passed, one of the kids I grew up with posted on Facebook how he used to play catch with him. I thought that was pretty cool. If you would see this house, you would never think a major leaguer lived in it. It's so tiny. And I looked it up. He was making $121,000 a year in 1979 when they won the World Series. He came over in a trade in 1977 from the Oakland Athletics. And I just started collecting his cards. And around '07, '08, I found out about PSA and I found out about the registry. And there was no Phil Garner registry. And I said, well, that's a shame. So I signed, I guess you didn't sign up yet. You put in, I don't even know what you call it, but I guess I entered his name to get included on the registry. And it took almost over a year for it to pop up back then. So I started collecting PSA Phil Garners. And to this day, I believe, and I'm not 100% sure because I haven't looked at it in a long time, I have the number 1 set in the registry. Also believe I'm the only person in the registry. And I don't have all his cards here, but I am going to share a few that I like. His rookie card is not expensive, but it's got Keith Hernandez on it, so that jumps it up a tiny bit. The 75 SSPC, I really love this set. I mean, he was a rookie then, so he was a no-name. Not that he ever became a big name. First set growing up. His nickname was Scrap Iron, and he used to get into it with Dave Parker all the time. Dave Parker was like twice the size of the good old Phil's. Last card on the A's. There's a Hostess card too I have somewhere. This is probably my favorite Phil Garner card, and it's an OPG, and you can see it's airbrushed there. 77. I am going to show all the Pirate cards I have. 78 with Chuck Tanner in the background and Rennie Stennett. This one's a Hostess. Another Hostess of Scrap Iron. So he had a lot of cards. I mean, most of those guys did, I guess. But I'm going to show you a couple cards here in a minute, too, that I actually sent into PSA. And ridiculous. Always liked that card. Yes, he was just, him and Tim Foley turned into double play back in the day. 1981 Fleer. Yes, he's kneeling. I'm sure someone's going to make a comment that I like that card. There's Phil Garner. Can't remember if it's my current Golden Retriever or the last one. Oh my gosh, I gotta show you this guy. He's raining. My wife's gonna kill me when she sees how muddy this guy is. But anyways, again, I'm not sure if it's him or got a hold of this Phil Garner. This was a 9. Not that I care, but I have another one, and I don't know. I think I had 2. I probably had this one, and I upgraded to this one, which is something I would never do today. Could care less about these cards, and I don't think I paid a ton for any of these cards. You got the Squirt. Went to the Astros. This is called a rub off. I don't even know anything about these, but it's got Carter, Ron Guidry, and Scrap Iron. Got a Mother's Cookie. I don't know anything about these cards, but he was in it. It's rare to see him without his mustache. Another Astros card. And then I'm going to show you these 2 cards I sent in for grading. I sent in a 1988 score. I mean, come on. The card's worth like a penny. And then also this 88 Donruss. And I think it came back to 7.5, so I went out and bought a 10. And rare Dodgers card of him. Got a couple autographs. And none of these were in person. I never met him in person, and unfortunately he passed away last week. And then an Astros. I do have a Venezuelan card of his. I'm going to pop it up in one of these areas here, and it actually says Phil Garner on it, but I couldn't find it. And then I have the reverse negative. I want to say 82 score Donruss, I'm not sure, but it's backwards and it's showing him left-handed. So that is that's the famous collection, or part of it, of the number 1 PSA registry set. So I'm sure you'll all be pretty impressed by that. And I'm falling apart here. But I'm sure there's other people out there who followed players as a kid or do now who they're not necessarily the star. There's just something about them you like. So that's my little honor to Phil Garner tribute, who just passed away this week, and big part of my childhood rooting for him and the '79 Pirates when they won the World Series. And then just a final thought, yeah, like I said earlier, just prayers for our buddy Chris. They're going through a tough time. You know, I can't say that I know what it feels like to go through a tornado. I don't. I do know what it feels like to lose a parent. So it's never easy, but to get the double whammy, I can't imagine. So, like, you know, Chris would do for us, just keep Shannon, his wife, and Lydia, his daughter, and he's got a son who I didn't meet him, named Chris, in your prayers. So, as always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.